Welcome to the StockManor.com studios here in the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota. I am your stock manager, Brian Johnson, and I'm making professional trading simple. And a nice day again for the Bears. They are making it look, I don't know, you guys getting a little nervous out there if you're a bull? Getting a little nervous? Well, we still got a little ways to go yet from the Bears side, but certainly an interesting last 3 days of the week to close it out, along with the Fed speech. We could be starting something new. We'll take a look at the charts here in just a second and see if they are telling us anything. Do a real quick recap of the week, how we did on certain picks, and then we'll start again on Sunday. Do want to tell you guys that there were some previous newsletters that you clicked on and it used to ask for a password, and that was just a fault on my end. I went ahead and fixed those. If you guys want to view any of the previous newsletters that are listed to the right, or go back in time to some of a couple months ago or a month ago, whatever, you can do that now. There is no password on those. That was my fault. And subscribers, when I'm done here, I am doing a video for you tonight. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail with FAZ. So for those of you that have been asking me about FAZ, my subscribers, that is going to be in tonight's talk a little bit. I have a little time on Fridays to do this kind of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit more in depth on FAZ, what I see there, what I see maybe going forward. So for those of you that are interested, you can join us as well. That's under my subscribers video. So anyway, let's get started into the markets. Everything down today, about a 0.5% or so. More kind of choppy action. We started the day moving up, and we moved all the way back down, broke the lows, came back up, came back down. I mean, just a typical Friday. Choppy action, hard to read at times, but enough in here that you could have played a few equities up and down during this time if you were really careful and managed them well. Could get greedy, had to take profits when you were able to. But we see here a 60-minute of the Dow, and you can see from the Fed speech up here how it's just kind of trickled down ever since then. At the end of the day, it was also looking to push its way down again. The bulls are having a rough time. Look at this, especially on the Dow. Look how it tried to get back up above this and just could not do it today. It's kind of the story across all the platforms. Look at this little slow, I call it a slow burn, just a slow burn down. And that is bearish behavior. Sometimes it's a slow run up, and that's very bullish. In this case, obviously very bearish. There's just the bulls just aren't stepping in. I mean, it used to be buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. We didn't see that into this week. After the Fed made that really hard, or after the Fed talked and the markets made a really hard pull down here, the bulls kind of, I think, put them on their heels and went, whoa, wait a minute. All right. And they have been trying to recuperate ever since. Maybe they'll find their footing next week. We don't know yet, but an interesting week nonetheless. And I have this little dotted line drawn in here too. This could act as support next week. This is what we're watching to see if we get a bounce off of that. And then the next move after that is what I'm most interested in, to see where we head beyond that. Now, if we happen to just bust down through all this stuff and break this 1633 area, yeah, I think the bears are in control at that point. Weekly, this is why I wait for that weekly candle. It looks one way during the week and completely different at the end, and that's what we saw. This thing was moving up very nicely at the beginning of the week. Looked like we may touch this 61.8% level, and then all of a sudden, right back down again to close at 1694, basically on the 200 period moving average. It is above, but you know what? It's like barely a point. It's not even a point. So call it right on the 200 period moving average. This was not a confirmation week for the bulls by any means to get up and over that area. Talk about that more this weekend. On the 60-minute, you can see how we broke back down here, and this lower trend line, which was a channel at one point, has now become resistance, and it held a lot during this last push up. 1040 is kind of my line in the sand here for the bulls. They need to hold 1040. If that breaks for any great length of time, bulls are in trouble here. Bulls are in trouble, and you'll want to be very careful of long positions at that point. Talk about that more this week. And as you can see, this line coming right above here, see this trend line here, is right where we pulled back today. So for my students, look at this. Not a bad risk to reward ratio. If we get particular motion on Monday, so you might want to be watching that. But you can see that we've pulled back now to this trend line. We've been playing around with these trend lines for quite a while. We had this little break up and above. I could call this now a jab for the most part. We just kind of popped above it, but we're not able to hold. Tried. It came back in a nice bullish way till the Fed talk. And then at the 1080 mark, boy, rate down. So we had a very bearish end to the week. But it just puts us back here at support with the 20 period and this other trend line coming up and through. From a weekly, once again, here it looked like it might bust through, but no go. It did hold. This resistance held this last week. So a very interesting end to the week for the bears to get this thing to hold down here. So the bulls could not push this thing any higher. Not yet, anyway. It's not quite over yet. VIX was confirming it did move up today, and so we are getting some confirmation from the VIX. However, this trend line is now acting as a resistance area for the VIX along with this previous resistance here. On a weekly, though, remember how these change so quickly? Look at that. We went from being below the 200 and right at this upper support line to closing at a big another hammer type candle, which I don't really care about because it's in consolidation, so it don't make a difference. Above the 20, above the 30, as we've been talking about. AIRM was one we took earlier in the week. Look at this beautiful bull flag it was forming until the Fed spoke. And an ARM just fell out of bed. So many opportunities to catch it on the way down if you watch it on a 60-minute. We're intraday trading it. Otherwise, this was kind of a look for a stall here to see if we get a break above 36 for a break to the upside. That never happened. So if you played it short, great, but there was never an opportunity to play it long. We never got the entry from the beginning of the week. But a very logical place to come back to resistance. So if you caught this short, maybe below the 20-day from a swing trading position, or from on the 60-minute, there was all kinds of entries on the way down. This was really strong this week. This was one we called here at the beginning of the week for a break above this 35, 40, 50 area. I think I called right above 35, 50 would be a good, and then another one above this 36 area. We got two of those confirmations there, ran up. Beautiful play this week. That's a money maker for those of you that took it. Baidu never gave us an entry. Looking for that one long over 410, never got it. Below 390, I think I said was a good short entry. Would have been able to play that down for about 10, 15 points. If you took that break, probably would have squeezed 10 once you put a stop in and followed it down. But still, 10 bucks on Baidu, not bad at all. No long play though this week on Baidu. From the weekly, still trapped within this little trading zone up here. So we're just going to sit and watch that thing for a while from a weekly standpoint. We'll see if we get any more motion. CF. CF ended up being a pretty good play to the downside as it fell out of bed here. Needed it to break 88, and once we got that, was a great play to the downside. So there was a good short, made money on that. CMI was trapped in the trading range. I don't think this went anywhere. Yeah, looking for a break below this area here. We did get it. If you took it either yesterday, which was fine, and stayed in it, then you're still good. You haven't been stopped out yet. If you got in it today, you shouldn't have been stopped out yet. So you could be in it. I don't know if I'd want to be holding anything over the weekend, but if you are, you're probably in still pretty good shape with the CMI. Still waiting for a real definite break of one of these two lines to get short or long this particular stock. DV had a great run up. This was probably my best call of the week here. Was a call long above 53, and that thing ran all the way up to 57 or so in one day. Now we've got a little bit of a pullback right back to this previous trend line here. So we want to be watching it close here. You should have taken profits by now. I would guess you would have taken profits by now. FAS was another one we talked about at the beginning of the week. Still not real high on playing these things one direction or the other. Break above 90 was a potential long play. Maybe you could have squeezed a buck out of it, depending on where you put your stops. Some of you, if you were swing trading it, you just got stopped out for loss. But we've seen this thing move down now, right back into this trading area here. We have to continue to watch it. Below 75 is now probably a defensible short, down to about the 50 period moving average. Otherwise, to the long side, we're going to wait and see for a while. I don't think I'd be playing FAS long